shift the way you lead, the way you live. Clarity, courage, change. Because your next level won't wait. This is Monday MindShift. The clarity you've been craving. The shift you didn't know you needed. Good morning. Happy Monday, first Monday of May. Welcome to Monday MindShift. Excited to have everyone here and share this very special version. Sorry, I got distracted. One of the clients who's given me permission to use her story in my book popped up as I was trying to pull up LinkedIn. Anyway, welcome. Welcome to May. Welcome to MindShift. And I'm very excited to bring this to you today because it's very unique. It's not my typical MindShift in like what you're used to. The structure is the same, but what we're going to talk about is a bit different. Anyway, welcome, Omar. I see you over there on YouTube. Don't see anybody yet on LinkedIn. So wherever you're watching, go ahead and drop a comment. Say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you might be. Let me know where you're watching from. Tell me there's a spot on my face, whatever. It don't matter. Just let me know you're there because the system doesn't tell me that people are there. It tells me how many, but that's it. That's all I know. So your comments are what I live for. The interaction, the engagement, ask questions, make your statements. Love to hear from you. Anyway, so happy Monday to Lisa. Good. I don't know. Is it afternoon for you, Lisa? Is it still early? Like, is it almost lunchtime? I don't know exactly where you're at. I just know you're east of me, I believe. I know Omar, I think he and I are in the exact same time zone. Let's see, how many people? Oh yeah, we had lots of, everybody got the invites. Okay, good. Happy Monday, happy Monday. How are things going, everybody? And looking forward to hearing from everyone today. All right. So my question today is this. Oh, wow, that's better. What if the identity you built to survive is the exact thing keeping you from thriving? Today, I want to share the story of 3 people. No names, but every detail is real. I want you to pay less attention to the stories and pay more attention to what's underneath the stories. The common thread among all 3. I'm not sharing these stories for motivation or to pump you up. I want to show you something. And if you feel it in your body, if it triggers something in you, that's exactly the point. When I say your identity, and Leslie's questioned me on this, I don't mean your name, any of that, or your personality or your brand. I'm reading Untethered Soul, and he asked the question, who are you? And he explored that really deeply. Like, who are you? Like, who are you? Not your name, not your status, not any of that. Who are you? What we're talking about is that core operating belief of who you are, what you're capable of, what you deserve. That runs everything in your life. It creates the container, the walls, and the ceiling. It guides your decisions. It brings up resistance when you're pushing against the edges. Everything. So, the first story to share today is a woman, 33 years in government work, $10 million government contracts, briefing 3-star admirals. If you know anything about the Navy, that's top. It's a very, very top. She showed up when everyone else was stepping back. And then it ended. It wasn't clean or on her terms. And she didn't just lose her job, she lost the only identity she had ever known. When I met her, she was in fight or flight. I don't mean the feeling, the temporary fight or flight mode. I mean her baseline. Her nervous system had been running at emergency volume for so long, she had no idea what quiet was. She thought maybe it was a confidence problem. She needed more clarity. She needed to find her direction. She didn't have any of those. She had a self-concept built entirely on being needed. The moment she wasn't needed anymore, it all collapsed. External identity, when your identity is connected and wrapped up in out here, it's borrowed. It's always borrowed. And borrowed things can be taken back. Now I want to share a key detail that she shared with me. It tells you everything about how deep this was, how deep that pattern was embedded for her. She was at a Tony Robbins event and they were getting ready for the fire walk. And she walked on fire. But before you imagine, wow, that's so powerful, she walked on fire, I want you to understand something. She didn't do it for herself. She did it because her partner was afraid. He didn't want to fail, so she went first and said, see, I can do it. You can too. She did it for him. I see this as the same pattern, just with a different perspective, a different arena. At work, she was so indispensable so that everything held together. In her personal life, she absorbed all the risks so those that she loved would not have to feel afraid. 10 years of that. Both directions, stepping forward so others didn't have to. It wasn't weakness. That's someone who's built their entire identity around being the person who shows up. at work, for your family, everywhere. The problem is an identity built on being needed only holds as long as somebody needs you. In our 4 weeks of work together, she said something to me. I don't have to prove to anyone that I'm worthy of their approval. I approve myself. Bill, welcome. Glad to have you. You might hear that and think, oh, great, a mindset shift. No, it's a different person. This was a different person standing in the same body. Biology didn't change, the operating system did. So, my question for you is this: how much of your identity right now depends on something external? It might be a role or some title or some status. Is it a relationship, your job function, your business function? What would you have left if that was gone in a moment? If tomorrow you woke up and that thing was gone, who would you be? I'm not looking for your answers. This is for you. I want you to sit with this. Story number 2. She's a practitioner. She works at the intersection of biology and consciousness. So she knows all this stuff. She knows the power of affirmations and vagus nerve and all of that. She knows it probably better than me. She's got a PhD. She looks at how the mind works with the body and how the body works with the mind. It's a two-way communication. She's brilliant at what she does. She helps people heal. And I don't mean emotionally, I mean heal with medical conditions and other things. Sharon Rose, welcome. She actually works with these people to powerfully shift their life, mentally, physically, everything. She always goes beyond what is asked. Every single time she pours herself fully into the people she's working with. And then clients don't follow through. And they start pointing a finger back at her. That doesn't just sting for her, it triggers an old question that her father planted decades before. What if you're not actually as good as you think you are? Was that question. And that question, not the clients or the outcome, that question ran her whole business. Boundaries, energy, a start-stop revenue cycle. Because her father told her this, that she'd never make money doing what she loved, that she needed to marry a rich guy so that she would have financial stability. In spite of years, decades even, of proving again and again that he was wrong and building something real, that question was still there. Liana, welcome. Good morning. So every client was an opportunity to answer the question. The results, her evidence for or against the case. So when somebody didn't follow through, it felt like proof. So what do we do? How do we unlock it? We got that question out in front of her and it couldn't hide anymore. One sentence pulled into focus. Helping people is your gift. Carrying them is a trap. That's not semantics. It's everything. Because helping should be a choice made from your fullness. Felipe, welcome. Helping is a choice that you make from your fullness. Carrying others, that's an obligation that you make out of fear. From the outside, they often look the same. You only know the difference if you're the one looking at the inside, by looking at what's driving it and asking a simple question. Is this love or is it proof? So she didn't need a new business strategy. She simply needed to see the difference between serving from that fullness and performing for her safety. As I said, looks the same. But internally, one of those drains you. So, question here: where in your life are you helping from a full cup? And where are you helping because somewhere in the background of your mind, in your heart, there's a question that you're still trying to answer? Story number 3. I promised 3 stories, so here's the third one. The third person, his wife bought a coaching package at a charity auction because she saw him disappearing. In his life, he had built real revenue at multiple companies. He was the kind of person who could walk into a room and see what other people were missing. One after another, the jobs ended. He didn't fail. They cut divisions. The market shifted. There was reorganization. All of it outside of his control. The difference? His nervous system didn't know the difference, didn't know that. It didn't see the org charts or care about market conditions. It learned a simple lesson. Amen, Sharon. Cognition, embodiment, very different. Anyway, the lesson his system learned was this: expansion leads to erasure. So it kept them from expanding. By the time I met him, he'd sold the family home that he'd worked so hard to build, living in a small apartment, 0 income. His wife had a business that was the only thing keeping everything running. He was filled with this shame that was so heavy that he withdrew from everybody he knew. Again, it wasn't that he was weak. It was his nervous system doing exactly what that system does. When it's been hit enough times, it goes into protection mode. It tries to protect you. It tried to protect him from the very thing it thought would destroy him. And there's a cost here. He kept asking the question, can I get back? That's the wrong question. Can I get back is looking back. You're facing that way. And it assumes that there's some former version of you to return to. What I want people to see is that there's not the old way. You're not trying to get back to where you were. What's the new, better version of you? By the fourth session, I saw the shift in him. He said something he hadn't been able to say in years. I would like to expand again. Not I think I can, or maybe. I would like to expand again. Present tense, his own voice and his own permission. I want everyone to know that the most dangerous identity cage doesn't come in failure. It comes from the old stories your nervous system tells about what that failure means. So, question number 3 today: where have you stopped letting yourself expand? Not because you can't, but because somewhere your system decided the cost, it's too high, can't afford to pay it. 3 different people, 3 different lives, 3 different versions of successful. One pattern through them all: a self concept, an identity that stopped being true. Identities built around external, things that can be taken away, things that could end or collapse under pressure. And after that comes a quiet devastation. Here's what all 3 of these had in common: their struggle was not because of a lack of skill. They weren't broken. They were struggling because the internal story they were living became invisible. They weren't consciously choosing to do it. They were swimming in it. And you can't change your story if you can't see it. The work is not think more positive or use this framework. Here's the work: get honest with yourself about the identity you've been operating from and ask one simple question: does it still belong to me? Or did it ever belong to me? Because some identities, we build them for survival. And those identities do exactly what we built them for. They keep us safe, they keep you small, and they keep you from the very thing that scared the version of you that got hurt. The question is, are you still that version? Or have you outgrown the cage? All right. I don't know if I'm seeing all the comments. Let me double check here, because I see conversations going on and it's like I'm missing. Oh, there's the question. I didn't see it. See, there's another problem. Not all the comments come through. I saw Felipe saying, "Yep, Bill." And I'm like, what question did Bill ask? You all deserve to have the best day today. Every one of you. All right. So I always have my 2-chair exercise, and I didn't leave it out today. So here's what we're going to do. I'm going to do this with you. As we said before, you can use real chairs facing each other, or you can just imagine them. So first, imagine those two chairs or set them up. In one chair sits the version of you that built the identity you've been operating from, the one that learned what it needed to survive. Perhaps, Christy, welcome. Perhaps it kept you needed or useful or from getting hurt again. In the other chair, I don't know if I'm doing this right, is the version of you that already knows it's time to update that story. Sorry, I lost my notes. The one that has no need to prove anything or carry someone, and it doesn't need to disappear to stay safe. Which chair are you sitting in today? I don't mean which one do you want to be in. Which one is running the show of your life? Whatever comes up, that's the work. It's not a problem you need to fix. It's an awareness to sit with. Nicole spent 33 years in that first chair. She thought it was who she was, but it wasn't. It was just what she built to stay indispensable, wherever she was, at home, at work, wherever. The second client, the second woman, sat in that chair every time one of her clients didn't follow through, or every time that question came back into her mind, and every time helping was not a gift, but a need. The third person sat in that chair every morning. He was convinced that the version of himself could never expand. It was gone in his mind. He wasn't gone. He was just waiting for permission. Funny, Sharon. The permission that you're waiting for, it's not coming. Not from the outside, because that's not where it comes from. It comes from right here. It comes from right there. Sharon, I will address that comment, but at this point, I'm getting ready to open it up. Not looking for performance. What landed, what story resonated for you? Either way, I want to leave you with this. Leslie, welcome. The three people I told you about today, they didn't need more information or a new strategy. They just needed someone to hold a mirror up and say, that's the identity you're operating from. Does it still fit? And in my opinion, that's the only question that matters. Not what do I do next? How do I fix it? this question: is the story I'm living in still true? Because if it's not, it doesn't matter what you build on top of it. It's like renovating your kitchen if the foundation's failing. So before I open it up, I have 2 spots available for a 30-day identity intensive. What you heard today, that's the work. 30 days of getting honest, looking in the mirror about who you've been performing as and what it might feel like to finally stop. If something in one of these stories, or maybe all 3, sounded familiar, send me a message. No forms, none of that stuff. Just a conversation. And we'll figure out, is this the right next step for you? But no matter what, I want you to write this down. And I will put this one in the chat. The identity you built to survive already did its job. The question now is, are you going to keep letting it run the show? Dropping the link. If anybody wants to share, love to hear from you. Absolutely, Felipe. Getting honest with ourselves. It's not just the biggest first step. I believe it's might be the most important. Because otherwise it's adding on to a cracked foundation. And it's why so many people, they see some growth, some success, and they hit a ceiling. And then they start to doubt. Did I really change? Did I shift? What's going on? It is gold, Felipe. So to go back to Sharon's question, how to level up. You got to do a survey. What's the container you're operating in? What's your OS? And then what's the mirror that is running? Or use the mirror to see what identity is running. To see what needs to change. And it's not meant to be done alone. I definitely say that it's something to do with a trusted partner, a mentor, a coach, in a community. We're not meant to grow alone. We grow best in community, in partnership with others. So let's reiterate that question and give it a few minutes. If anybody wants to join and share what landed, what pulled at your heartstrings. But once again, the identity you built to survive has already done its job. The question now is, are you going to keep letting it run the show? That's step one of leveling up. Because that container is what keeps us doing the same things again and again and wondering why, as I believe is attributed to Einstein, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing again and again and expecting different results. The trouble is the system is at a lower level that we don't see, and we're doing these things automatically and we don't even realize it, which is why we need an external reference point. And I won't tell you that's easy or comfortable. Many, many years ago, I had a partner that I was working with, and we had an agreement to call each other out. And the first time he did it, I went, because I thought I was ready for it. I'm like, we had this agreement. We had this solid agreement to point out if one of us was deviating, if we were not looking at a situation correctly or with an alternate perspective. And I thought I was ready. I got this. Like, I signed up for this. Like, bring it. I thought when he first said it, my internal reaction was just like, I can't believe he did that. So the first few times it will be uncomfortable because it's new. We're not used to someone pointing out in love, holding that mirror up. One of my favorite coaches, they call him F.U. Joe, because often when he works with people, that's what they say to him. And then they go, you're exactly right. Because they have that gut reaction like, I wish you hadn't said that. But it puts it out in front and you can't deny it anymore. And Leslie, I love Byron Katie's work. A lot of these great teachers are teaching the same thing. I hear so many, it's just different perspectives. Choose the one that works for you. Is it an inquiry? I heard Mel Robbins once say, nobody's coming to save you. Today I said it. Your permission that you were waiting for from the outside, it ain't coming. And it doesn't need to. It has to come from inside. Because that's when we really make the shift. Does it help if someone externally says, hey, give yourself permission? Absolutely. But the real permission is when you give yourself the permission to take that step, to do the thing that you've avoided, that you dabbled in. You haven't really put yourself into it all the way. You've got to give yourself the permission. You've got to realize that you're operating from an old identity that doesn't have a purpose anymore. It's done its job. Time for it to take vacation. So you can shift into the new identity, the one that's going to take you to the new levels. And you'll probably discover at that level that there's another update. Right? It's like our phones, it's like our computers. Do you update it once? No. It has to be updated all the time. Our system needs to be updated on a regular basis as well. But if we don't know what we're swimming in, we don't know it's time to update. You know, I saw something interesting. My wife got invited to a group on Facebook, a messenger group. And by the time she opened, like she got added, not invited, added to this messenger group. By the time she saw it, it said this group created by that person left, her husband left, this person left. I'm like, that's a warning, right? Like she didn't create it. The real version of her didn't create it. Often the identities we're operating from, we just created to deal with a situation at the time that we created it. The problem is we've operated in it for so long, we don't even realize it's a problem. We don't realize that it's the boundary that's keeping us where we're at, that's keeping us from getting what we say we want. Because we feel like, you know, if I expand, I'm going to get hurt. If I don't prove, the question that comes up, right? Don't prove to my dad or my mom or that teacher that I am good enough, that I am smart enough, whatever enough. If it's about being needed, does it feel good to be needed? Absolutely. But when that becomes our core operating identity, that's a problem. Anyway, so no hand raisers, and that's okay. Take that final question. If you take nothing else, take that final question. Are you going to let that old identity that's already done the job keep running the show? That's it. That's where it starts. Thank you all for being here, taking time out of your day to listen. I'm here, reach out, say hi, whatever, you know. And with that, I will say, with strength and heart, I'll see you next week.
In the shadow of a mirror, where the past holds tight, he walks in with fire, igniting the night. A truth seeker's vision, he shines through the black. With every step forward, he won't look back, telling tales of struggle. The masks we wear, we're bound by the labels, lost in the snare. Time to break free from those chains of doubt. With his voice like thunder, fire.